Let's talk. Let's talk Black women, Black mamas, Black content creators. Let's have a conversation. Some of this stuff will be probably uncomfortable for me to say on camera, and that is even more into what I have to actually say. So stay tuned if you want to have this conversation about how to actually show up as a Black woman, millennial, online, authentically. That was a mouthful, but that's what I'm about to talk about. So I think a lot of the issue is just a lot of the issue is being a Black woman and what that means and how we show up online, but it also has to do with how society has already placed us in the algorithm. But I want to address more of our stuff than the algorithm, because at this point I don't have control over the algorithm. So, no point in me talking about the algorithm. So I just been sitting here thinking about what it means to show up as a Black woman online, to show up as myself online in a world of Jackie Inas and Aaliyah Face. And these are not knocks on them because they are authentically showing up as themselves. But the problem with the way that they're showing up is the way that it's coming off to the audience members who also want to create content. Explain this to you. I'm a mom. I live in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia. I have 4 kids situated in different ages. I'm from the South. So I'm going to show up on this platform totally different than them because that is not my life. I do not have this curated house. I have a lot of noise in my house, and I have a lot of things that I have to take care of. So I don't have this single family house, and then I also don't create content from the place of being able to be successful at content where it has allowed me to upgrade my lifestyle. And that is the place that they're at. Again, this is no shade to them. This is just an example because this is who we are going to model ourselves after, because they are at the top of their game, especially being similar or close to my age. Someone like Clark on TikTok, she's younger than me, so obviously we're not going to show the same things, but that is important too, because it looks like for Black women, it is this hyped up, and not hyped up, yes, hyped up single life, the dating, the going out to nice restaurants, the curated house, the consumerism. Like someone like me, that's not my reality. It's just not my reality. But I have found myself, and I can see other women doing it too, trying to only show those parts of my life that are similar to that image. And that is not me showing up authentically online. I found myself only trying to show those parts of my life if I was going on date night, or failing the trap of only showing, like, if we go out of town, which we don't go out of town that often, or we haven't been during COVID, and just showing those like highlight reels that it's not that it isn't my life, but it's not the majority of my life, and it's not the whole total sum of who I am as a person. And so it's unfair to myself, and it's unfair to those people who are watching me for me to continue to feed into that. So I do want to pause a little bit there, because I think that that has been the reason that I have not been able to build a community, because I have not built a community around my authentic self. I was trying to create a community around a community that already exists that I don't actually fit into. And I think that a lot of Black women have fallen into this trap when it comes to creating content. There's so many levels to this, because it's also like sometimes with Black women, we feel like if we're creating content, we have to be helping people, because that is the role that we play in so many people's lives, is being that helpmate. So we also feel like, there's this tension between just showing only the highlights of your life and people not being able to accept it, because they're like, look, I don't want to know about this fancy lifestyle, right? I'm here trying to survive, right? So I need tools to survive. And so there's just this tension between like showing only joy and then showing, I guess, this collective pain that we have as Black women and basically trying to heal. So I feel in the middle of that, I don't, you know, conundrum. I think that's the word. I feel like I'm in the middle of that, wanting to show Black women trying to heal the everyday struggles that we have, and then also showing our joy and it not always having to be this heavy load that we're carrying, and being able to take part in self-care and what that actually even means. So I'm just getting lost in my thoughts because I'm so excited about this, to just have this conversation online. So definitely chime in on the comments because I still got more to say. I'm gonna try to come out, so hopefully it's not doing too much craziness with the lighting. So you guys bear with me. This is my first YouTube video in several weeks, months. I don't even know. It's been a minute. One of the things that made it important for me to make this video, as I've just been reflecting on these things and thinking about what it means to be a Black woman in America, an older millennial Black woman who has been through, and I actually wrote the list down. These are all the things that we have experienced from our childhood, where we were conscious enough to know what was going on, until now. And I might be forgetting things, which is really the sad part about this. But let's start with number one being 9/11. I think that is the first like traumatic thing that I can remember. I remember exactly where I was when 9/11 happened at school. I remember the exact moment. My mom even came to pick me up early that day from school. So I have a vivid memory of that day, watching that. And I mean, I could feel the emotion coming up. Like, I will never forget that. No one will ever forget 9/11, especially if you were alive when it was happening. 9/11. And then I wanted to kind of put it in order, but 2008, the crash of 2008. So I am at this time about to graduate from college in 2008. And I also am a teen mom at this time. So all in my mind, I'm like, I need to finish school. I need to get a job. That's the number one thing on my mind, is being able to provide for my child. Just feeling like I just need an office job to be able to make a way for us, because at this point we're still relying on our family to take care of us. 2008, cannot find a job. Everybody is looking for a job, but everyone is also getting laid off. Do you know how traumatic that was, to know that you've been told your whole life, go to college and get a good job? And you know, this is this simple formula that you have bought into, and just make good grades, which is what I've done, finish your college degree, and you should be fine. And then to come to find out, total lie. Okay, so just sit with that for a second. And then the next thing that we have is the rise of Columbine, school shootings, colleges. While we're in college, while we're in school, while we're in high school, this is what is happening. Then on top of that, then we start having police shootings, and this has probably already been going on. But what we now have to grapple with is the beauty and the beast of technology, and everyone having a camera at their disposable. You know what I'm talking about. Police shooting of Black men, and we're Black, and then also Black women. Yeah. And then COVID. So, and we don't even know all the effects of COVID. We're talking about physical effects of COVID. We're talking about social effects of COVID. Kids being isolated, losing out on learning. I mean, we're just talking about so many different things. And then put all of that together and say, plus you're a black woman in America. Baby, nobody is talking about this. What does that look like online? What does that look like in real life? Because there are real repercussions of that and different things that we have to deal with as black women. Now, we're smart enough to know that we're all part of the human race. We're really not that different, but we are different because of the way that we've been situated in America and been treated by white people. It's totally different than the experience of a white woman and a black woman, a white man and a black woman. It just is what it is at this point, and there's no point in anyone trying to pretend otherwise. And why all of that is important to name is because that is what we're coming to the space with, but we're also not acknowledging and not understanding about our content and the beauty in our story. Y'all, it's so much to unpack here. I'm trying to get it all in this video, but let's continue. Imagine trying to match up to Jackie Aina, Aaliyah Face, who are from, and I'm not sure about Aaliyah because she might actually live here, but this like California lifestyle, dialect and all that. I don't know anything about that, right? So imagine me, which I was doing, coming up online, trying to talk proper, show up as my representative instead of actually showing up as myself. And we are doing ourselves a disservice by not showing up authentically as ourselves. If I'm a mom and I'm a wife, yes, there's going to be Legos in the background when I'm recording. There's going to be noise when I'm recording. There's going to be kids sometimes when I'm recording in my video. But imagine me trying to act like none of that exists and only recording when it's super quiet in my house or when my kids aren't around. And I understand that could be a distraction. I get that part. But at some point you have to integrate your real life into your content in order for you to be able to sustain it and to actually tell our own story. We got to tell our own story, you guys. They're already trying to whitewash history. We got to stand up as representatives for our actual stories. Like, I'm from the South. I'm from, you know, sharecroppers and my grandmother being very into church and sewing. I am a product of her life and her sacrifice. And who am I to come online and deny her story, right? You know, raising these 10 kids in the South in Mississippi, who am I to deny her story and not show up online as a descendant of hers, right? And the more I get closer to who I am and I actually share that with you guys, it gives you permission to do the same thing. I don't even know why I'm crying, but that's just how strongly I feel this message. And I think that honestly, I'm going to stop here, even though I have some more notes. I'm just going to stop here, and I think I'm going to do a part 2 if you guys actually relate to this video, because I want us to show up this year in 2023 healing, having these conversations, showing progress and not perfection, and authentically showing up online as ourselves. And I think that emotion, I need to rest right there in that particular emotion. And I appreciate you guys for watching. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.